Back here on Coaches and Coffee, right here from the Ray Ray Cafe, live on WWSU 106.9 FM. Good morning, happy Monday to all of you. Happy to have you along. We're so excited to be joined this morning by Brandon Hayes, who is the, if I can pull up your email that you sent me, the Associate Athletic Director of External Operations for Wright State Athletics. Brandon, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Parker, thank you, man. They're getting the coffee maker fired up here, and we'll get fueled up soon. Wanted to be quick to point out that I am not a coach. This university is very lucky that I'm not a coach. Our coaches are awesome, so I don't know if you want to call it coaches and future ADs and coffee or something today, but special edition.
Yeah. So, and this show is not just about coaches. We're more than happy to have athletic administration and university administration folks on this show. So it's not just, it's called Coaches and Coffee, but not just for coaches here. And so we've had, our good friend, our boss here at the station, Shay Neal, is not a coach. I'm previously a youth baseball coach, but he always, you're not a coach. That's not a coach. But
that's more, I would argue, and I think our coaches would, that's tougher coaching than they do sometimes.
It can be, certainly. So you have said, or you told me that you oversee ticketing, you oversee development and sales, sports information. So kind of give us a basic rundown of your day-to-day duties.
Sure, I'm still figuring that out. I'm just a few days shy of being here for 2 months. So coming here, our athletic department, as several people know, in any mid-major athletic department, we're lean and mean. Everybody there wears 3 or 4 different hats. It's part of what I love about this level. So mine's no different. I oversee sports information, development, ticketing, marketing, sponsorship, which is something that I do day to day. I spent time doing that yesterday, just all the great partners that we have, and really just driving any revenue that our department needs. It's what keeps us fueled. It's what keeps our student athletes able to play. And so it's a heavy thing. It's an important thing, and I think I'm excited to do it every day, and especially in this athletic department. It's a special place. I actually worked here for 3 years, back in 2012 to 2015. So I jumped at the opportunity to come back and to be able to. I don't know if it's one of those Dr. Seuss hats that stacks super high to the ceiling. That's kind of what I have going on, but I just think it's a cool opportunity. I'm a dabbler, and it fits me really well. So. A little bit of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked a little bit off the air before we came back on here about the successes of Wright State volleyball over the past few weeks, and it's unbelievable, really. Last time out goes 5 full sets with Northern Kentucky after going 5 with them here earlier this season. In the short time you've been back here at Wright State, what has your experience been with Wright State volleyball?
Well, I think the coolest thing over in the Nutter Center, we're on the 3rd floor, our offices. Every other department I've worked in, you're kind of scattered around campus, right? So you've got the basketball staff is here, the baseball staff is here, the soccer. We are all, other than our basketball staffs, who I see every day in their practice facility, we all work together. Allie Matters is 2 doors down from me. I get to watch them work every day, her and her assistant, Dan O'Keefe. 3 of their athletes work in our offices right now. Incredible, just well-formed young women that help us out every day. When you put all that together and then you just watch them kick somebody's butt week in, week out, twice a week, you just watch them mow through teams. And then you go play the best of the best in Northern Kentucky, which is, where I came from. And it was everything that we thought it was going to be, right? It was back and forth. I don't think there was ever much of a gap in that match. And they made it work. They fought through some adversity. Jenna Story had an injury, unfortunately. Ellie Ruskop, who's one of my favorites in the athletic department, steps in as the libero. It was awesome to see. So I thought I would be able to go down, but actually my family gathered around the TV and watched it, and man, they're just rolling at a pace I don't think I've seen before.
Yeah, and we talked about it. We've talked about it on our broadcast this season. We touched on it here just before we came back on the air, and that we kind of, you said that they've gotten a bit pretty creative in that creative ways to go 5, if you will. But
yeah, that's how they started the season, and so it was a little bit of fun between me and the girls in the office. I like to call it creativity early in the season, but boy, did they find themselves and settle in at the right time, and that's when you work at a mid-major, when you're in the Horizon League, that's what matters, right? You have to hit your stride at the right time, and our teams at Wright State across the board are pretty good at doing that. So for volleyball, they are rolling, doing everything they need to do, and it's hitting at the right time.
Yeah, they certainly did. We talked about it, that they kind of been a little bit a little inconsistent to start the year, but they have certainly found their groove here since over the last, let's see if I can count correctly, 3, 6, 8 matches, 8 straight matches they've won. 7 straight matches before Northern Kentucky they won in straight sets before going 5 with NKU. They have 3 this week. Thursday night they'll welcome the UIC Flames, a rematch of the Horizon League Championship last season, as well as undefeated Milwaukee coming in to McLean, and then we'll welcome Green Bay on Halloween. So, basketball season just a few weeks away, and we talked about it before we came back on here, and that the first few weeks everybody's kind of finding their groove and getting back into the swing of things, and you said a little bit, but I want you to kind of summarize a little bit again what you've seen from Wright State basketball, both on men and women's.
Yeah, I mean, we talked offline about us as an administration and us that are doing the work. We're all a bit rusty from not having fans last season, and me being brand new, and just trying to understand all the protocols, which thankfully are not going to be all that restrictive this year. So number one, just excited to have fans in the building.
Absolutely.
But both teams, so what they do to start their season is they're able to have either exhibition games or what I can affectionately call secret scrimmages. Both teams had those this past week. I have to remain somewhat secretive, but I think there are bright spots for both programs. Kerry Hoffman is building a culture there, and I think that the team's rallying around that, and they lost a lot, obviously, from the team that won a game in the NCAA tournament last year. But I was really excited to see them. Men's basketball, they're what you're going to be used to. They're moving up and down the floor, disciplined play. We've got guys like Grant Basile and Tanner Holden who hold it down, and then their supporting cast it seems like it never ends. I mean, it goes down the bench. There's not much of a drop-off there.
Right.
So I'm one of the lucky few that got to see both teams this past week. Again, I think there's bright spots on the women's side. They've got to come together culturally and figure it all out. And Wright State men's basketball just doesn't go away. I was here before, got to see it from just down the road for 6 years, and I think it's going to be more of the same. You're going to have NKU, Wright State, and then now Milwaukee, who knows what that's going to look like with Patrick Baldwin Jr.
Absolutely.
But it'll be fun in the Horizon League up at the top.
Yeah, and we've said this numerous times, and in the Horizon League there's 12 teams, but it seems like all 12 teams can compete any given day and in any league. So it seems like when you get into late February, early March, there's 6, 7, 8 teams fighting for 4 spots. So it's really exciting to get down to that nitty gritty late in the year. But and like you said, you have an excellent supporting cast there with Wright State men's basketball, and after Basile, after Holden, so you still have guys like Tim Finke, and then you have some transfers coming in as well that are going to add some tremendous talent. But all right. So baseball playoffs right now. Are you a baseball fan, Brandon?
Big Braves fan.
Okay.
Grew up in the Southeast in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I mean, diehard Braves fan. I'm 36 years old, so I'm right in that wheelhouse of the Braves, and I can't remember the number of divisional titles, but 13 in a row or something like that. So it was fun to be a front runner there for a while. But man, I think so. My family they're all in Texas. Most of them are Astros fans. I kind of stand alone as a Braves fan. I think the Braves have what it takes, man, to take it. I think they fought their hardest battle. I always knew if they could get past the Dodgers and some of those pitchers, I think they got a real shot. So yeah, the fam and I are pretty excited.
Yeah, I bet. I personally am a Dodgers fan, so.
Oh no, crushing.
It is, but the Braves look very good, and I think that they certainly have a tough task with Houston, but it's a bit of a family rivalry, good one to have there in the World Series this season. So
yeah, and I would say that on the Astros side, so I'm a baseball card collector, basketball card collector as well, and their darling is Yordan Alvarez, who has never he was always kind of a threat to take that next step. This is your next step in these playoffs.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to see a young guy step up. That's what baseball needs. And on the Braves side, it's almost the opposite. You lose Acuna Jr., and you have kind of your old heads, Freddie Freeman, and then Brian Snitker, their manager, who I think has been a part of that franchise for like 45 years. Finally getting their shot, and hopefully they don't blow it. So fingers crossed.
Absolutely. So talking about Acuna, you lose a couple of guys like Ozuna and Acuna as well. I love Brian Snitker as a manager. I think he does a great job. So World Series coming up this week. Very excited for that. NFL Week 7 action this past weekend. You talked about you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. They had the weekend off, but they look fantastic to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, again, you just cross your fingers and hope that Dak Prescott comes back and he can work his way back to being himself. Week 1, there he was, right? And I always knew that as soon as CeeDee Lamb had somebody to throw him the ball, that they would make a comeback, and their defense, which is, as a Cowboys fan growing up, once we got past the mid-'90s, just screaming at the TV every week about the defense and especially the secondary, and here we are with Diggs with, I think, 6 straight weeks of interceptions, 7 straight weeks of interceptions.
Unbelievable.
That's not a problem anymore. So yeah, personally as a Cowboys fan, and honestly with everybody else that I know in the area being a Bengals fan, what a great week, I guess, selfishly in the NFL. I know here in the Dayton area we got a lot of Browns fans, and I know that's got to be frustrating for them after all that promise the past couple of years. So I hope they can turn around too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about the Browns. Another team that's very popular here in the Dayton area is the Cincinnati Bengals. They are looking like a favorite in the AFC, especially after a statement win yesterday afternoon in Baltimore against the Ravens, beating the Ravens 41-17. The Bengals look fantastic. I thought they would be a good team, but I didn't think they would come out and have the start that they have.
And part of it is just the joy that I'm sure Bengals fans and any fan in the AFC get to see the Ravens and the Chiefs just struggling. I mean, that has to feel good if you're a long-suffering Bengals fan. I think that just sweetens the pot a little bit. I grew up in Tennessee, as I mentioned. A lot of my friends are Titans fans. They look incredible too. What a weird time in the NFL where some of your blue bloods are just having the hardest time possible. So who knows? They all turn it around.
Absolutely. So coming up on the 9 o'clock hour, we will take a break. More Coaches and Coffee and more with Mr. Brandon Hayes when we come back on Coaches and Coffee. Stay with us. Back here on Coaches and Coffee this morning. Happy Monday morning to all of you on this Monday, right before Halloween, gloomy Monday here at Wright State, but we're happy to have you along. I'm Parker Testa, Sports Director here at WWSC 106.9, and I'm happy to be joined by Brandon Hayes, who is with Wright State Athletics. Great conversation before the 9 o'clock break, but just a few more minutes with you, Brandon. Again, we really appreciate your time as always.
Of course.
Yeah, so Wright State Golf is another program that I am just blown away at how great they were this season. Connor Lash coming in this season in his first year as head coach. What have you seen from Wright State Golf that has probably impressed you the most?
I finally got to see them whenever they were competing in Dayton's golf tournament. Was that not this past weekend, but the weekend before? I guess it was Monday, Tuesday. Just unreal consistency across the board. I believe there were 4 different individuals that won 4 different tournaments. You just don't see that. Typically, at a college golf team, especially on our level, you've got a player or 2 that carries you, and then everybody else can kind of hope to be average. That's why they just get out there and they're just crushing people. They're winning tournaments by anywhere from 15 to almost 40 strokes. It's I know enough about college golf to be dangerous because I've been in college athletics for 15 years, but I'm still trying to understand how this happens. Our former coach Brian Allinghouse did an incredible job building a unique culture with those guys and getting them to buy in. Connor was obviously a golfer here not too long ago. One of my finest memories in college athletics ever is I had to step in as a golf coach for one tournament here at Wright State. Connor was on the team. So it was a nice, easy transition. We both started at the same time back here the second time around. But he's just got a steady hand on those guys, and watching them compete, they just distance themselves almost immediately. So if you play 36 holes the first day, after that first 18, it's over. So hopefully in the spring they can handle a couple of things. One, you want to just continue that on. You want to win the Horizon League, get into the NCAA tournament. I think they're more than capable of doing that. In the future, and this is something Connor talks about, is if they can crack into the top 60, top 65, and they can start getting potential at-large bids into the NCAA tournament, that's where you really want to be. That's the pipe dream, and it all starts with getting into quality tournaments with bigger schools.
Absolutely.
I think it's right around the corner.
Absolutely, and like you said, that dominance. I'm a golfer myself. I'd like to say I'm pretty good, but I'm not. But even 15 strokes is a lot to win by, and then you're coming up and seeing 35, 40 strokes that they're winning, and you're like, wow. And it's like you said, just sheer dominance there from Wright State Golf. Both soccer teams coming up on the tail ends of their season here in the last couple weeks. And then the women's team in the first year with Travis Sobers, I was incredibly impressed by Wright State women's soccer this past season.
Yeah, I'm going to get this stat wrong, but I did a presentation the other day. I want to say it's 12 of their 17 matches were within one goal. They're in every single match. Again, it's a culture build.
Right.
Travis is instilling his principles into the program. You can see it visually if you go out there watching the girls that rally around him. They have lost some heartbreakers, and they're still in it. The Horizon League lets 6 teams in, so we'll see what happens here in the home stretch. But it's a long game. We believe in Travis and know that he can lead the team back in the right direction.
Absolutely. So Wright State women's soccer has their final match of the season, regular season match of the year, coming up this Wednesday night at Alumni Field at 7 o'clock as they welcome who else but the Northern Kentucky Norse. So excited for that as well. On the other side of that, of soccer, you have Wright State men's soccer 4-8-1 overall on the year. They've had a great year, and I love what Jake Slemker has done as head coach of Wright State men's soccer. 3 more matches for Wright State men's soccer this season, coming up with Duquesne in Pittsburgh tomorrow evening, and then they'll have Cleveland State at Alumni Field Saturday evening at 5 o'clock before heading up to Detroit next Wednesday afternoon to face the Detroit Mercy Titans to wrap up their year. And I also, just all the programs, we talked about it in the break, but all the programs here at Wright State have just been shown sheer dominance. And Wright State men's soccer is no different.
Yeah, I think they'll get there. I think you're just seeing a bit of a down year for them, but Jake knows what he's doing. We 100% believe in Jake. Really, in the Horizon League soccer tournament, all you got to do is get in, and they're right on the cusp of it, just like the women's team is. We've seen it, 2 years ago. They just kept going and going and going. They're tackling giants in the NCAA tournament. They'll be back there in no time. But again, with this year, I think all you got to do is get in, and then you make noise. Soccer's a weird game, and I think they can still get into the Horizon League tournament and make a bit of a run. I'll bring up one other team because I work closely with our cross country programs.
Absolutely.
We have a women's runner, Abigail Halsey, who I just saw running up Raider Road here a second ago, who can win the Horizon League championship this weekend. I'll be going over to Indy to watch them. And then on the men's side, you got 3 guys that I think could win it. who, if you go, I've been able to watch them here recently. Lots of PRs, lots of guys that are getting some kick at the end of races. Really impressive there, and I don't think people are used to following that sport. But really, we have an opportunity over here at the Fairborn Community Park to host, I don't know, as many as 3 meets in a year. So I think Rick Williamson is kind of our steadiest hand when it comes to coaches. He's just always got that program competing. But this year, I think they can win. Like you've got some individuals on both sides that can win a Horizon League championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we talked about baseball in the break, with a little bit of professional baseball before the 9 o'clock break, but we did talk a little Wright State baseball in that break, and we had Nate Metzger on this show a few weeks ago, and I could just tell how excited they are for the upcoming year after that heartbreaker and against Tennessee. In the regionals last year, I could tell that they're just raring to go. Sogard, Metzger and company is just excited for this year.
Well, you talk to the person that can sell that program better than anybody.
No kidding.
And Nate Metzger, and so I won't do the job that he did, but that program is just stupid to talk like the kids do, I guess. But it's incredible just what they've been able to put together and the consistency. I was here in the infancy stages of it with Rob Cooper, who's now at Penn State, and Greg Lovelady, who's at UCF, and on and on and on. It just never stops, and they'll continue to get guys drafted. It's I oversee our marketing staff who designs our graphics and our social posts. Most of that's baseball and just trying to keep track of the I don't know 20 guys or so we have in professional baseball right now. You just don't see that on this level.
Right.
Just for us to be able to have that caliber of player, it's just going to keep it going and keep that consistency. It's hard for me to look past basketball season. It seems so far away at this point, but man, when the weather turns back, there's no better place to be.
Absolutely. So one final question for you, Brandon. Again, appreciate your time, Brandon Hayes of Wright State Athletics, joining us this morning on Coaches and Coffee on WWSD 106.9. And I've asked this of every guest that I've had on any show on this great station. Where does your sports passion come from?
Oh, that's a great question. The easy answer is grew up playing it. I've played in high school, wanted to play in college. It didn't work out. Really, what it was is kind of falling face forward into this industry and to working in college sports. And I would put Wright State at the forefront. The first time I was here, I had just gotten off of working on much larger college campuses and didn't really feel connected. And then I show up here where, again, we're lean and mean. Everybody's pulling their weight. You work right down the hall from every coach you work with. You watch them work. Our student athletes are well-rounded. They're good people, and then they're really, really good. And so to be so hands-on with that and to be around it every day, that's sort of what reignited my passion after I'd lost it a little bit. So I will give kudos to Wright State for just showing me what mid-major, low-major, whatever you want to call it, college sports is all about, and it's just a balance. So I root for our student athletes. As soon as I get back over there, I'm going to find the nearest student athlete and say hi to them because that's what gives me energy throughout the day. So yeah, that's really why I still have it. So to not give you the cliche answer of playing when I was a kid, that's why I've got it, 15 years into the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon Hayes, Associate Athletic Director of External Operations with Wright State University. Appreciate your time this morning, Brandon, and happy to have you on.
Thanks, man. Anytime.
All right, we'll take a quick break. More general sports talk right here on Coaches and Coffee, WWSD 106.9. Stay with us.